Don't get too excited, don't get too excited, don't get too... Welcome to From Center Ice. My name is Courtney, and hello, Leafs Nation. The real season is finally here. Yes, playoffs are here. Game number 1 was last night for the Toronto Maple Leafs, and of course, as you know, they are taking on the two-time Stanley Cup reigning champions, the Tampa Bay Lightning, which, you know, can prove to be a tough task from time to time for any team in the league. And if playing the Tampa Bay Lightning is a tough task for any team in the league to face, how about the Toronto Maple Leafs in the first round of the Stanley Cup Playoffs, taking on said Tampa Bay Lightning team? Now, I don't have to tell you that the first round of the playoffs is difficult for this Maple Leafs team for whatever reason, and we can never really seem to figure out the exact reason. It seems to change from season to season, but basically what it boils down to is that they are cursed. And yet, here we are, once again, watching the Toronto Maple Leafs in the first round of the playoffs, just hoping for a different outcome. But you know what? It is a different season, and if you've been around, you know that I am from Illinois, the Chicago region, and if the Chicago Cubs can win a World Series, maybe, just maybe, the Toronto Maple Leafs can win a playoff round. Look, we all want them to win the Stanley Cup. That would be amazing. But first, they just need to win a playoff round. And that effort began last night, like I said, when they played Game 1 against the Lightning. Now, I am very curious, how were you feeling going into Game 1? It wasn't all that long ago when Tampa Bay put up 8 goals on the Maple Leafs. Of course, it was on backup goaltender Erik Källgren, and thankfully Jack Campbell is back and healthy and in the Leafs crease, so it was going to be a different goalie situation, even though Källgren has been fairly good for the Leafs in his limited time here, but it's always nice to have Jack Campbell in net. And that was only one game. The Leafs have also beat the Tampa Bay Lightning during the regular season, but the regular season doesn't matter. We all know that the Leafs are very good during the irregular season, and then the real season begins and things look bad, then they look very good and they go up 3-1 on the Montreal Canadiens, and then they end up losing in Game 7, and we just go through this endless spiral of emotions, which brings us to the very next year, and then we go in and we're hopeful, and then the playoffs come, and then we're hopeful, but also kind of prepared for bad things to happen. All that to bring it back to my question, how were you feeling going into game number 1? I don't really know how I was feeling, actually. I think maybe I was trying not to get too excited for the playoffs because we know how this has turned out in the past. But also, this is a very good Leafs team, and they've been getting very positive results on the ice as of late, and I mean, all year there have been ebbs and flows, but for the majority of the season, they have been getting positive outcomes, and ever since adding Mark Giordano to the lineup, they have been killing it. So I think maybe going into last night's game, I was just cautiously excited. I'm not going to say optimistic, because this is the Leafs in the playoffs we are talking about. But playoffs are fun. Hockey is fun. So cautiously excited. So there were some things of note going into the game. Ondrej Kase was back in the lineup. Michael Bunting is out of the lineup. He is getting close to being back from being injured. He was taking normal line rushes at practice today, which seems to be great, encouraging news. Obviously, he has been huge for the Maple Leafs this year, so if he can come back early in this playoff round, that would be great for the Leafs. Kyle Clifford was in the lineup. Jason Spezza was out of the lineup. Timothy Liljegren was playing his first playoff game. And of course, Mitch Marner had gone 18 games in the playoffs without scoring a goal. And, you know, like I just said, we all had to prepare for the Leafs in the playoffs, the Leafs in the first round of the playoffs. There's the normal anxiety and some sort of dread along with the excitement that goes into that. And again, if you've been around here watching my videos, you will know this, but if you are new, hello! I am also a Blackhawks fan. And before you ask, how are you a Blackhawks fan and also a Toronto Maple Leafs fan? Again, I am from Illinois. I was a Chicago Blackhawks fan first after they won in 2013. Dave Bolin went to Toronto, as you know, and I said, oh, I will follow and watch Dave Bolin play for the Leafs. And then for some reason, this team just grabbed hold of me and I became a fan of the team, so the Leafs are my second team, and I am here to talk about them and their playoff run. And because I am also a Blackhawks fan, I realized there was an extra layer of pain added to this playoff series, and I don't know how it took me until the day of Game 1 to realize this, but since the Toronto Maple Leafs are playing the Tampa Bay Lightning, that means that the Toronto Maple Leafs are also facing one of my favorite players in Brandon Hagel. I am still upset about the trade, it still hurts me, and then I realized that they would be facing him, and either I have to watch him lose, which I am not rooting for the Tampa Bay Lightning, and I said that when the trade was made that I cannot root for Tampa Bay, so this really sucks, or I have to watch him dismantle my Leafs. So that's fun, and because the universe is just so funny, he was in the starting lineup for game number 1 at the opening face-off. I wasn't even surprised when I saw that tweet come across Twitter. I was just like, of course he is. Of course this is happening. This just makes total sense that this would happen to me. But guess what? Even though he did look pretty good in that game last night, he didn't score a goal, so I can be happy about that. And now, speaking of goals, let's jump into the game. And of course, as it happens in most playoff rounds, but especially game 1 of round number 1, there is a bit of a feeling out process between the two teams. This game ended up being very physical and intense, but for the first few minutes, I'd say, there wasn't a whole lot of physicality going on. There was some, and of course Kyle Clifford got a 5-minute major and a game misconduct for boarding Ross Colton, which he was also suspended 1 game for. But considering how things progressed throughout the game, period number 1, outside of that hit was pretty tame. I mean, Brandon Hagel did draw the first penalty of the series for Tampa Bay when TJ Brodie went off for hooking just over 2 minutes into the game. Thankfully, the Maple Leafs killed that off, and that 5-minute major came just about 7 minutes into the game, and the Leafs killed that off too. And then they got a bit of a break from killing penalties because at the end of that 5-minute major that they successfully killed off, Nikita Kucherov took a penalty against the Leafs, so they did get some power play time there in the first period. Mikhail Sergachev also ended up taking a penalty about 16 minutes into the period, so 2 power plays for both teams. Of course, one was a lot longer for the Tampa Bay Lightning at 5 minutes, but fortunately and unfortunately for the Leafs, both teams came through on the penalty kill in that first. And I must say, while I wouldn't advise the Leafs to keep going to the box against the Tampa Bay Lightning because you're really tempting fate and playing with fire there, that first penalty kill and then the 5-minute penalty kill seemed to really give the Leafs the momentum, which isn't necessarily what you would think would happen, especially facing the Tampa Bay power play. But I don't know that I've seen much better penalty killing ever. Sure, Tampa was pretty sloppy on their own. They weren't making the best passes. Kucherov wasn't shooting the puck. They were looking for Stamkos more than Kucherov. But whenever Tampa tried to break into the zone, the Leafs were there, swarming them immediately and clearing the puck. Now, I haven't looked at the actual numbers, but I'm pretty sure that Toronto got more shorthanded scoring chances than Tampa Bay had power play scoring chances all game. Again, I wouldn't advised Toronto to make this their game plan against Tampa, but that first period really set the tone for Toronto, and those penalty kills were huge, and the team played so well during them. And that's not something we've always been able to say about the Leafs. You think about the Toronto Maple Leafs, and the first thing that comes to your head isn't just defensively minded team that's great at killing penalties and shutting down top scorers on the power play. But man, that penalty kill last night was impressive. And it sure paid off. 18 minutes and 19 seconds into the first period, Ilya Mikheyev and Andrei get the puck down low in the Toronto attacking zone. Kasha gets it over to the boards and sends it up to Jake Muzzin at the point, who just blasts it toward the net, and in it goes. Past Andrei Vasilevskiy, the score 1-0 Toronto. Did you also breathe a huge sigh of relief when the Leafs got on the board first? Because I sure did. And how awesome for Jake Muzzin. He has had a rough year with concussions and injury, and he comes in, game number 1 of the playoffs, gets the first goal for the Leafs, and he had a pretty great game all around, I must say. So Muzzin and the Leafs get that first goal near the end of the first period, and that is how the score would go into the first intermission, 1-0 Toronto. There was a chance of it being 2-0 heading into that intermission because William Nylander received a fantastic stretch pass. I don't know who it came from, but he was in all alone on the breakaway. Unfortunately, Andrei Vasilevskiy did Andrei Vasilevskiy things and stopped the puck. But what a beautiful pass at a great chance, and you know, Vasilevskiy just got the better of it. What are you gonna do? Mitch Marner also had a great scoring chance in that first period after an awesome effort on the forecheck. He was in all alone, one-on-one with Vasi, and Vasilevskiy stopped it. But you love to see Mitch Marner going to the net, and that was something that the Leafs were doing really all game. They were doing a really good job of driving to the net, and they ended up getting some power plays out of that as well, which you also love to see. Last year in the playoffs, the special teams were not a happy story for the Leafs. In game 1 last night, they came through. The Leafs were stealing pucks, they were getting shorthanded chances, they were shutting down the Lightning. Who cares what has happened in the past in the playoffs for the Leafs? Period number 1 of game number 1 in the 2022 Stanley Cup Playoffs was good. It is okay to smile, Leafs fans. It is okay. This team is fun. Hockey is fun. Playoffs are fun. And the Leafs had a 1-0 lead going into that first intermission. And they had an 8-5 shot advantage, even though they were killing a lot of penalty time. So on to the second period we go. And remember how I said special teams came through for the Toronto Maple Leafs last night? Well, they ended up with an extended 5-on-3 opportunity. And while the power play may have been cursed last year in the playoffs, I guess that's not the case so far this year, because 6 minutes and 18 seconds into that second period, John Tavares wins the faceoff. Him and Mitch Marner get the puck set up down below the goal line, get Vasilevskiy moving a bit, looking to see where the puck is at. Auston Matthews just kind of disappears for a couple seconds, and then you see him flying in on the screen. Mitch Marner has the puck, hits him with the perfect pass, and Auston Matthews absolutely bombs that puck past Andrei Vasilevskiy. 2-0 Toronto Maple Leafs on the 2-man advantage. I want that goal on repeat forever. Is it just me, or was it just so beautiful to watch? The face-off win, controlling the puck in the attacking zone on the 5-on-3, Mitch and John Tavares setting up below the goal line, playing a little catch back and forth. Mitchie gets the puck, sends it to Auston Matthews with that perfect pass, like I said, and oh my god, that shot. Which should not come as a surprise, really. I mean, Auston Matthews did score 60 goals during the regular season, but it was just so beautiful. And a 2-0 lead is also pretty beautiful, I must say. Special teams were not done there, my friends. 9 minutes and 27 seconds into that second period, while killing a penalty, the Leafs end up with the puck behind their own net. They go to clear the puck out of the zone. Victor Hedman tries to stop the clear to keep in the puck for a scoring chance. He does not do that. The puck bounces off of him into the neutral zone. He and David Kampf are racing for the puck. Victor Hedman decides to dive for it at the red line, doesn't quite get it away from David Kampf like he tried to do, and here comes a shorthanded breakaway chance for David Kampf. He had a shorthanded chance before this, so, you know, he really wanted a shorthanded goal last night, and he got it in all alone on the breakaway on Andrei Vasilevskiy, and he just rips it blocker side. What a good shot from Kampf. Again, also a Blackhawks fan. Very happy for him. Side note, can we stop with this whole David Kampf was an unknown player just a year ago and now he's amazing? It's not like he was some nobody on the Blackhawks. He was a big time penalty killer for them too, and it wasn't his first year in the league. So he wasn't a nobody, you just don't pay attention to the Blackhawks, which is fine, but he wasn't just some random guy. Anyway, doesn't matter. David Kampf, short-handed breakaway goal, 3-0 Toronto. Did anybody else see a 3-goal lead and go, oh no? Or am I just traumatized by hockey? Maybe a little bit of both. But the Toronto Maple Leafs did not go into the second intermission with a 3-goal lead. No, my friends. Auston Matthews with the puck in the neutral zone gets the pass over to the boards. Morgan Rielly picks it up, skates down, is heading behind Andrei Vasilevskiy's net when he sees Mitch Marner coming, hits him with the pass, and Mitch Marner, with the patience of a saint in the offensive zone, just has the puck, outwaits Vasilevskiy, just waiting. Shot! Goal! 4-0, and the Leafs are ahead and take a 4-goal lead into the intermission, not a 3-goal lead. And they still had the shot advantage at 20-16. Mitch Marner, what a game he was having so far. He was all over the ice. He also kills penalties, so he was getting a lot of ice time in the first 2 periods, and he finally got his playoff goal. 18 games would not become 19. It was pretty. He just waited until the exact right moment, shot that into the net, and I think all of Leafs Nation collectively felt their chests burst with happiness when Mitch finally got that goal. After everything he went through last year, and he wasn't good in the playoffs last year. And then so many people wanted him traded in the offseason. He comes into this season, has a great regular season, and through the first 2 periods in game number 1 of the playoffs, he was all over the place, and he looked fantastic. You gotta feel good for Mitch. And you had to feel good heading into the 3rd period. The Leafs were up 4-0. Of course, this is also the Toronto Maple Leafs we are talking about here, and that is 20 minutes for them to have an epic collapse. Wouldn't be the first time, but they were playing great. The big guys were stepping up, and that is a luxury to have in the playoffs. You always hear about how the depth of your roster wins you playoff series, because a lot of the time the top guys are shut down by the other team's top guys. So if Auston Matthews and Mitch Marner and Morgan Rielly can keep rolling throughout this playoff round, that is great news for Toronto. Especially if they keep having to face Game 1's version of Andrei Vasilevskiy. How about this one? 8 minutes and 16 seconds into the 3rd period, Andrei Kase dumps the puck in to go off for a line change. Nothing crazy there. Andrei Vasilevskiy goes behind the net to try to play the puck. And, does this look like a good situation to you? I mean, yes, it does, because more than likely you are a Leafs fan here watching this, because the Leafs did not lose this game, and I see your clicks when the Leafs lose a game and I talk about it. There are a lot more views on these videos because you crazy people out there like to see Leafs fan misery, but they won this game, so more than likely you're a Leafs fan. Or just not a Tampa Bay Lightning fan, although if you are, hello. But anyway, this situation looks good to you, but maybe not so much to Mr. Andrei. Because when he went behind the net to try to play the puck said, not today, actually, and jumped over his stick, and here comes Auston Matthews into the attacking zone. And if you're a goalie and you make a mistake, the last guy you want to see coming down and heading toward the puck is Auston Matthews, because he does get the puck and makes zero mistake. He shoots that puck into the wide open net, and the Toronto Maple Leafs have a 5-2 5-0 lead in game number 1. Now, Vasilevskiy tried to get back, and he was pretty close to actually being able to do that. And maybe if it was somebody else shooting the puck, it would have either hit Vasi trying to get in, or maybe gone wide or high. It was not from a very great angle, but it was Auston Matthews. It was in the back of the net. The Leafs were up 5-0. And with 8 minutes and 12 seconds to go in the third period, it looked like the Leafs were going to go up 6-0 over the Tampa Bay Lightning when Timothy Liljegren was as close as you can get to scoring without actually scoring his first playoff goal. Ilya Mikheyev was parked in front of the net. He tipped a shot, and then he got a rebound chance on Andrei Vasilevskiy, who was not able to cover up the puck. Liljegren jumped up because they were on the power play, and he got the rebound. He got a shot off himself, picked up his own rebound on the backhand, had a wide open net to shoot at, and shoot the puck he did. He did absolutely everything right in this situation. Unfortunately, so did Sergachev. He got his stick in the way just in time. Like, there was absolutely zero time to spare there. Have you seen exactly how close it was yet? If not, I'm gonna show you right here. This is how close Timothy Liljegren was to scoring his first playoff goal. They reviewed it. There was a hair of the puck still on the goal line. Of course, the whole puck has to cross the goal line to be considered a good goal. Apparently, it did not, so it was no goal for Toronto. You cannot get closer than that. Thank God the Leafs had a 5-0 lead at this point, because if it came down to that not being a goal that would have, say, tied the game or won in overtime, I think Toronto might have exploded. Instead, it was just an unfortunate moment for Timothy Liljegren, who had a great game himself. It was his first playoff game, but you wouldn't be able to tell by the way he played out there. He looked like a seasoned vet out there on the ice, and good for him. I wish he could have gotten that goal to reward him for his solid play, but there's still plenty of time. And let's not forget about Jack Campbell here. With 3 minutes and 47 seconds to play in the third period, he comes up with a pretty snazzy glove stop on Brandon Hagel, who shoots the puck from the high slot. At the end of the game, the shot totals were 32-24 in favor of the Maple Leafs. Jack Campbell didn't have a ton of work to do last night, but he did come up with some pretty solid stops throughout the game. They weren't all super easy. He had a big right pad stop. He had that glove stop. There was another glove save earlier in the game, so he did have to come up with some big saves, but overall, the team in front of him played very well and kept the grade A scoring chances to a minimum. I'm certainly not going to sit here and say that's going to be the case throughout the whole series, so good on them for coming up big for Jack in game number 1, because I'm sure the team is going to have to rely on him at some point throughout this series. But that 5-0 lead that the Leafs have is how they ended the game. Toronto Maple Leafs beat the Tampa Bay Lightning in game number 1, 5-0. Mitch Marner had an absolutely huge game for the Leafs. He looked fantastic on the ice. Auston Matthews had a great game. Morgan Rielly had a great game. And Jack freaking Campbell with his second career playoff shutout. What a game for Toronto. And all of that was so exciting, I didn't even mention this sort of line brawl that they had in the third period. And it's also not something that I want to focus on because there were so many great moments for the Leafs in this game, but good on them for sticking up for themselves. Good on them for not letting Tampa just push them around. That's something that Tampa can really do. They are a low-key, maybe high-key, dirty team. I got very sick of seeing them play the Blackhawks last year when Tampa Bay was in the Central Division. So good on the Leafs, good on Morgan Rielly for getting into a fight, good on Wayne Simmons for ruffling some feathers there. Like I said earlier, it did end up being a physical game and there was some nastiness, but the Leafs didn't just get pushed around. They were the aggressors at different points during the game. And I know I've only called out pretty much the bigger guys on the roster for this one, but it was so nice to see them have great games, but everybody throughout the lineup had great moments themselves. Maybe Ilya Mikheyev should stay out of the box a little bit, but you know, they won 5-0. I'm not going to sit here and just pick on something like that. It's game number 1, they won big. Fix it for game number 2, and let's see what happens. That's pretty much as perfect of a game 1 as we could ask for from the Toronto Maple Leafs. Clifford's hit on Colton was nasty, and you don't want to see that. He did get the suspension for it, as I mentioned earlier, so good on the Department of Player Safety for actually doing something. So I'm not going to sit here and condone that and factor it into the so-called perfect game. But the Toronto Maple Leafs played really, really well. Of course, it is only game number 1. And if there is anything we have learned is that we cannot get our hopes too high, but it is okay to be happy about this game. Now, I do have 3 questions going into game number 2 tomorrow night. So how about we jump into those? Question number 1. Can the Leafs open game number 2 riding the momentum from game 1? It is crucial for the Leafs to have a good start in game number 2. Maybe get that first goal of the game again. Tampa did not have a great game last night, and Vasilevskiy is very capable of stealing games for the team. So letting Tampa come out hot and get the first goal is probably not the best idea for the Leafs. We've seen how they can score their way out of a lot of problems, but it is only going to be game number 2, and we don't want them to waste all of their goals in the first 2 games. So can they come out with purpose like they did in game number 1 and ride the momentum from that game and the crowd, who was absolutely amazing? Sheldon Keefe called them the first star of the game. We shall see. Question number 2. Can the Leafs stay out of the box? Now again, maybe those fantastic penalty kills did give the Leafs some confidence and momentum in game number 1, but like I also said, if you keep going to the box against Tampa, you are really playing with fire and tempting fate there. They were not good on the man advantage in game number 1, but if you keep giving them chances, eventually they're going to start clicking. And that's bad news, because they are also a team that is very good at getting under their opponent's skin, and they can draw a lot of penalties. So if you let their power plays start clicking and also don't play disciplined hockey, this series could go downhill very quickly. So the Leafs just need to worry about staying out of the box and not tempting any of that to happen. Can they do that? I guess we shall see. Question number 3. Will Mitch Marner keep up this level of play? This question is not meant to be a dig at Mitch. It's more so a happy question because just how good of a game he had in game number 1. I'm so happy for him. It was great to watch. It was fun to watch as a fan, especially like I said, after everything he went through last year. Can he keep this up and have a great game number 2? I'm confident that he can. Let's hope that he actually does, because that would just be great for everybody involved on the Toronto side. But that is it from me in this one. This video is getting pretty long. How are you feeling after game number 1? How do you feel about game number 2? You think they're going to win? You think they're going to split the games in Toronto? Let me know down in the comments. If you would like to hear more from me or from Center Ice, you can check out FromCenterIce.com, where there's links to all the places where you can find us. You can follow along with my live tweets throughout the game over on the Twitter. All of the links to our social media platforms are down in the description for you. All of that being said, thank you so very much for tuning in. The playoffs are here. It's a lot of fun. I appreciate you watching along with me. And let's get ready for game number 2 tomorrow night. Bye, guys.